What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Friday. Woohoo! April 25th, 2019. My name's Jeremy. And this is my first cup of coffee. It's in a whistlekick mug. Well, a lot going on. So much going on. And it's Friday, which is always a great day. Even though I work all the time. It's funny, I allow myself to work a lot less on the weekends when I could allow myself to work a lot less every day. Because no one's telling me to work. But I have goals, I have dreams, and I gotta work towards them. And it's just more convenient to not work on the weekends because that's when other people are not working, so you can spend time with them. Being social is an important part of life, or so I tell myself. So it looked like yesterday's episode went fine, no more technical issues, so thankfully don't have to deal with any of that. We ended up with 3 questions on yesterday's episode, so that was pretty cool. And let's get to them. Let's answer them. All right, so first question was, would you ever start your own line of coffee? Yeah, I guess, but here's the problem. I live in Vermont. We have amazing coffee companies here. And craft coffee is popping up everywhere. I think it's one of the next big things, like craft beer, or craft cider, or whatever. Any of the companies that would allow us to, make a whistlekick coffee, it's probably going to be hard for it to be a good coffee, Ooh. And if you know me, if you know the company, my philosophy is that if we're going to put our name on something, it has to be better. So if we're going to make whistlekick coffee, it has to be, it's not necessarily going to be the best coffee because that's subjective, but it has to be really, really good coffee. And if we're going to do really, really good coffee, by the time we white label it from someone else and do all that, it's going to cost more. And that's, I don't know, maybe? I've thought about it, I'm not going to lie. So let's just leave it at maybe, but there are no current plans. Now the next couple questions coming in. Which one do I want to answer first? Okay. So the next one is, of your black belt tests, which one was the hardest and why? So for those of you that don't know, I hold black belts in 3 styles. I don't like to talk about that because it feels like it's bragging, but in this case, it's kind of relevant. So I had my original black belt test in karate when I was 16, and then at 28, I tested for my black belt in Taekwondo. And then 3 years ago, at 37, no, it was 36 at the time, I tested for my black belt in Superfoot kickboxing under Bill Wallace. And that's the order of difficulty. My first black belt test was more a test of my determination, the psychology of what was going on. My Taekwondo test was more a survey of my knowledge. And the Superfoot test was a test of technique and concept, as well as grit, just your willingness to persist. They were all about the same length, interestingly. All 2.5 hours-ish. 2 hours, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's fascinating. The original one was the hardest because there was no break. I take that back. I had a short, like a single 10-minute break. I was the only person testing. So there was no, okay, Jeremy, go stand there and try not to die while someone else does their form or whatever. Um, but I also think it was harder because it was my first one and I was 16 and, I didn't really know what was going on. I thought I knew what was going on. Um, that test was designed to be hard. And I learned later that no matter how hard it was, they were going to make sure it was harder than I thought I could do. That when you got to the breaking point, they were going to push you and help you realize that you always have a little more to give. And it was a miserable experience in the moment. But on the other side, I'm so thankful because that moment helped shape my life. I always have more to give. There's always more that I can do. I can survive. I can persevere. And that's pretty great. It's pretty fantastic idea. But every black belt test is different, and that's okay. And it should be. It should be based on the culture of the school. I think it should be hard. But I don't know if there are any other things that I feel are necessary across the board. No, just it needs to be hard. Because a black belt should mean something. Oh, it's so rainy and dreary out. All right, last question. And then I'll tell you about my day and what's coming up for the weekend. Last question. How do you handle a bully if the bully is your boss? Oh, that's a gross situation. So if I had somebody, and I have had people that were my employer who were bullies, the first thing I would do is recognize that if it is happening, it is likely happening to others. And there is a good chance that the higher ups know about it and are choosing not to take action. Now, if that person is the top, the CEO or the head of the whatever, maybe there isn't somebody above them that knows about it. But chances are they're doing it to other people. And so really it comes down to how much are you willing to tolerate? I'm a firm believer that there's always a better job. There is. There's always something better. It's just a question, are you willing to work for it? Are you willing to put in the effort to get it, to find it? Are you willing to face the reality of having it? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people paint themselves into a corner. This is the best job I can get, and even if there was something better. And I've had that conversation with people, and you know what? I just stop. Because if you have decided that you are already at the best place you can be, you've decided that you don't deserve more. That's fine. I can't help those people. But if you're working for someone who is a bully, I think you need to cover yourself. I think you need to look for another job. I think you need that backup. And once you find something that at least would work for you, if you were to lose your job, then you have a conversation. I wouldn't be opposed to assuming that it's legal in your state, recording that conversation. Most states, to my knowledge, I'm not a lawyer, you gotta look this up. Most states do, it is legal for two-party recording. Where it gets dicey is one party, right? One party hold on. One party consent is when you agree to it. It doesn't matter if other people agree to it. Two parties, you get both people to sign off. To my knowledge, every state is legal two-party. I don't know what states are legal one party. I know Vermont is, and you better believe I've used that. I've had maybe not plenty, but I have had meetings that I was concerned might go haywire, that might turn into a he said she said, and I run a recorder on my phone. It's really simple. So if that's not an option, all right, let me back. So let's say you find this other job, you've got backup, and at that point, are you trying to save your original job? If you are, you have a conversation with someone, be it the bully, if they are the person in charge, or the person above them. You find some way to have that conversation. Because if it goes sideways, now you've got a backup. You've got the confidence of knowing that you can respect yourself, you can maintain integrity, and you don't have to take crap from people who just feel like dishing it out. One of the things that I think we forget about is that when someone treats others poorly, they're not just treating you poorly. It's a bunch of people. And the more people that let them get away with it, good morning, Casper. The more people that let them get away with it, the more it's going to happen because they feel empowered, emboldened. And it's up to somebody to say or do something. And if not you, who? I have worked for a bully. And that's what I've done. I've lined up a fallback job. I've requested a meeting. I've aired my grievances. I've recorded the conversation because it's legal in this state. And it's gotten better, and then at another time, it did not go better. The time it didn't go better, I quit. And it stings. It's hard. One of my major issues with the anti-bullying movement, the way it is that we're trying so hard to sanitize what the experience of being bullied is, that when people get to be adults, they don't have the tools to deal with it. Because bullying doesn't stop. Bullying takes all forms. And if you suddenly wake up and you're 23 and you're just out of college and you've got your first great job and your department supervisor is bullying you and you don't know what to do, crying in the corner is probably not going to be received well. Even if the person is treating you poorly, even if everyone else recognizes that. There are certain ways to conduct yourself that are seen as appropriate as adults in the workplace. That's not one of them. Casper wrote in, we make children weak. Absolutely. We do. So I don't envy the situation that you're having. And if you want to talk about it more, email me and maybe we can find a time and spend a few minutes on the phone with you. Can't do that for everyone. But I do try to help out where I can, even if it's just me being a sounding board. And I love these questions. I love comments. And the best place to leave them is, you guys stick right below. Comments, maybe hit that like button if you like the show. Definitely hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I forgot to mention yesterday. Okay, so if you are not a typical listener to Martial Arts Radio, you really need to check out this episode. So, episode 391, whatever yesterday's was. I think it's 391. I brought on Sensei Ando from the Fight for a Happy Life podcast because he did an episode about a real world violent situation that he and his wife found themselves in. And it is an amazing example, there we go, of what really happens in life with violence. It's not TV show, movie violence. This is real violence. And he did a wonderful job talking about it. So I brought him on. We talked about it a bit more, and we kind of debriefed on some of the feedback he'd received and everything. And yeah, so check that out. Either go listen to the original. We don't take out any of the actual episode, but if you want to listen to the original, and you should support Sensei Ando, he's a great guy. Fight for a Happy Life podcast, fightforahappylife.com. And then if you want to find that episode of Martial Arts Radio, it's right here on YouTube, or it's in your podcast feed, Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio. Don't forget, we do this show every 6:30 a.m. Eastern, weekdays on YouTube. Hold on, let me try that again. Don't forget, we do this show every weekday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern right here on YouTube, but you can catch it later in your podcast feed or at firstcupwithjeremy.com. Oh, what's going on today? I'm getting a new car. I have mixed feelings about it. If the show wasn't already 16 minutes, I would tell you why. I'll tell you more on Monday. What else is happening? I was supposed to be shooting some video on Sunday with someone that we are kind of bringing into the family. That looks like it's probably not happening now because of the weather. We were going to shoot outside. So we'll be figuring out backup plan there. And other than that, it's plant more seeds, set up new lights, clean the house, go to the gym, and do some work. Oh, and I'll go to Kempo tonight. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for sticking this out. This might be the longest episode we've done. Have a wonderful day.